Welcome to Chapter 19 of Yellow Farmhouse Makes. My name is Julie. I'm a British expat living in the northeastern part of the United States, where I live with my husband and our rescue dog, Jim. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're a new viewer, you're very welcome here. We have had some new subscribers recently, so welcome to you all. And if you have not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. That would be wonderful. So it has been a busy month of May. The snow melted finally, and we were teased with some really warm weather and things were leafing out, and it was very exciting. And then it got really cold and really rainy and has been the weirdest spring that I can remember. And if you live in the northeastern part of the United States, you can probably sympathize. I'd started a lot of my seeds when I normally start them. I cannot put them out, so the house looks like it is full of triffids, which is ridiculous. But this week we're supposed to get some warm weather, and I should be able to get those warm weather loving plants in the ground, like my tomatoes and peppers, squashes and cucumbers. So if you're a gardener, I know you feel my pain. But because it has been a busy time in the garden, my knitting has been not on hold, but there's definitely been a little less of it, which is fine. That's typically the way it goes. I want to cozy up in the winter when it's snowy and freezing outside and knit all the things. And then when the weather gets nice, I want to be outside. And as many of you know, this is a new house. We've been here, new house to us. We've been here just about a year now. And this is the first season that we've been able to get outside and plant trees and create a vegetable garden and a small perennial herb garden. So it has been full on, lots of shoveling of dirt and building of beds and hauling gravel and all the things that go along with making a garden. But that's all done now, so we can just kind of take a breath and just get plants in the ground and maintain them. So that's going to be really great. So I will put timestamps on the video because there will be a little bit of gardening, and if that's not of any interest to you, you can just skip past that. But let's start with the knitting. I do have one knitted finished object, and it is the Nausicaa Tee by Audrey Borrego. I started this at the end of last summer, and then it got cold and I just lost all interest in finishing it just because I wasn't going to be able to wear it. So I put it in hibernation and took it out last month just to finish it up. I've made this using Pearl Soho's Buttercup Cotton, which I don't think they make anymore. The purple is Wisteria, and the cream color I think is called Antique White. And I had bought two of these skeins originally with the intent of making washcloths, but when it arrived it was so soft it seemed like it would be a good thing to use for a garment. I really love this pattern. It is a free pattern. Audrey Borrego got out of the knitwear design business last year, and she made all of her patterns on Ravelry free. And she does have a lot of really nice garments and sweaters and smaller accessory objects. So I highly recommend you go check it out and see what she has. There might be something in there that you like. But I did like this tee. It has simple raglan increases. It has a very nice detail here on the twisted rib. It's a little yarn over detail, which comes back again on the hem to make these little eyelets. And then the hem is interesting. It is a 2x2 twisted rib after the yarn over eyelets, and then it shrinks down to a 1x1 twisted rib, which gives kind of an interesting pattern on the bottom. And then the sleeves have one purl row which also gives kind of a nice little design. So it is very easy to knit. It was very relaxing to knit, and the pattern was very well written. So I highly recommend checking it out if this is a t-shirt you think you might like to make. And in actuality, I think this would make a really nice sweater. You could just make longer sleeves. So I might at some point do that too. So that is the Nausicaa Tee by Audrey Borrego. The other finished object that I have is a spin. I think I showed you last time that I had been working on spinning with my drop spindles, and I've been working on some fiber that is, to remind myself, 80% merino and 20% bamboo, and the color was called Ducky Darling, and it had been on my spindles for an embarrassingly long time. I started it during COVID, which is really awful. But I finished it, so that's great. What I ended up doing is I had 3 spindles of fiber by the time I finished spinning, and I decided to ply 3 plies together, which is what I have here. So I did ply it on my spindle, so it's a complete spindle project, and it has come up fairly chunky. I would say it's probably a worsted. I have 600, no I don't, I have 64.3 yards and it weighs 71.5 grams. I used a short forward draw when I was spinning. It's incredibly soft. I think this would make really nice mittens, so that might be what I do with it. We'll see. And I have to apologize. Just when I started recording, my husband decided to cut the grass. I am so sorry if you can hear that. But anyway, there is my spin. And what I will do is I'll put some clips in right now because I did film the finishing up process for making this skein. I am quite proud of it. It's my first big drop spindle spin, and I would spin again on a drop spindle, and I might try something like a chain ply as I go, so we'll see. It was a learning curve, but I am happy. So enjoy the little clips of how that fiber was prepared and how I ended up with the final skein, and I will see you in a little bit. So we will stick with spinning. I showed you last time some fiber that I had from an Etsy company called Friends in Fiber. It's a BFL silk. There are 4 ounces, and this colorway is called Silver Leaf Rose. And I think last time I said I was going to take the fiber to Knit Night because one of the ladies there is a spinner, because I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to do with the fiber to prepare it. And as it turns out, I have sort of crocheted it together to keep it all nice, but it actually comes in a long strip like this with the color changes in it. She suggested that I split it down the middle just before I spin it. So I will do that. And then I also went on a deep dive on YouTube to see if I could find some more information about how to prepare fiber that is beautifully dyed, because I know I need to just spin it because it's not doing any good sitting in a basket, but I also don't want to mess it up too badly. So I found a really fantastic video from John Arbon. They're a mill and dyeing company in England, and they have, I think it's every year, they have an open mill studio, and they had a video on assessing your color, how to blend your colors, what kind of spin you could do to create different effects. It's about a 45-minute video. I've watched it one time, and I probably watch it one more time again before I start, but it was very helpful. So if that is something that might be helpful to you, I will link it below, because it wasn't too technical, but it was very helpful, I thought. So that will be my next spin, and I'm going to use my Ashford Kiwi 3 for that spin. So it will be a long-term project, but it should not be multiple years worth of drop spindling. So I'm excited to get started on that. I'm curious to see, once I prepare everything, how the colors work out. So that should be a lot of fun. So that will be my next spinning project. And let's talk about whips. I really only have 2 things that are being actively worked on right now. My Ghost Flowers shawl is hibernating until I can get some other things finished. So I have a pair of socks on the go, and these socks are what I just take to Knit Night, just because I've made this pattern multiple times. It's the Impossible Girl Socks by Madeline Gannon, and I can take this with me and chit chat to everybody. It has a faux cable down the front of the sock, and I have finished the slip stitch heel and the heel turn, and I just have started the gusset decreases. And this yarn is Jaeger spun, and that mill has since closed down, and the color was called Pacific, so it might be available on some online stores, or if someone's having a de-stash maybe, but it's a pretty color, and the yarn feels quite robust for socks, so that should be good. So that is a sock project. And then my other project is the shawl that I'm making to wear to my son's wedding in the evening. It's an outdoor wedding in September, so it might be a little cooler in the evening. So after the main ceremony, I may need to wrap up. We'll see. But I am making this with Knitting for Olive merino silk, and the color is called Soft Mint. And the pattern is from Pearl Soho, and it's called the Bamboo Wedding Shawl. It has a garter edge and then a 12-row repeat that creates this really nice sort of zigzag, which reminds me a little bit of mountains. The drape, now that I have more fabric, the drape on this is just lovely. So I will keep plugging along. I have, I think, 97 days to get it finished, which is fine. I'm working on this mostly in the morning after I walk the dog, just for a little bit before I get started with the day, and then a little bit in the evening. But if I just keep plugging away like that, it'll be ready in time. But it's really, really very nice, and I am enjoying it. So that is that. That's it for my knitting whips. I have nothing else crafty going on other than my son and his fiance have asked me to make a watercolor signage, which they'll then get photocopied for their signature cocktails at their wedding, which I thought was very sweet of them to ask, and that they have confidence in my artistic abilities. But it just means that I need to practice watercolor painting glassware. So I will be doing that in the next few weeks, and I'll share that with you when I have some progress, and hopefully it'll look pretty decent. The only thing I am a little concerned about is lettering, because my lettering isn't that fantastic. I need to find a manly font. So if anyone does calligraphy or journaling and has any ideas for a good font to use for that cocktail signage, let me know down below. That would be very helpful. So I will show you some of what I've been up to in the garden next. If that's something that's not of interest to you, I will put timestamps on this video and you can just skip through that, and I will catch you at the other end. This is the progress so far on the garden. Slowly but surely we're getting there. There will be, where these two milk pails are, there will be an arbor with a gate. And then we are doing a low hedge around the perimeter. And there'll be the greenhouse on this back corner, more hedge, and then there'll be a gate over here to get you out the side area. I started putting the gravel over the top of the landscape fabric. Landscape fabric's not my favorite, but there are some extremely aggressive weeds, and this is the only way, other than spraying with glyphosate, which I don't want to do. And I tried cardboard once and that wasn't successful, so I had too many earwigs. So this is what I'm doing. So it is what it is. Got more holes dug for more bare root privets. Used an auger for those. And then the side gate will lead down this grass path down to my baby apple orchard. I have lots of room to do that thing down here. So I have 3 heirloom apples, which is great. And then back up the path. Currently there's no water at the garden except for the hose that runs from the rain barrel. Eventually there'll be a rain barrel on the back of the greenhouse. That's gonna have to do it, because until we can lay a water pipe, which won't be for a while, that's gonna be the way it is. So there it is, progress. I'm pretty happy with how it is so far. So before I go, I just wanted to share a really lovely book that I bought recently. If you are a gardener and you love flowers, then this one could be for you. I follow Florette Flowers on Instagram, and I finally decided to purchase her book. Something that I would love to do is to have a big dedicated cut flower garden so that I can cut flowers for the house for myself and also cut flowers for friends. But the photography in this book is really beautiful, even if you're not really a gardener. Just these stunning photos. I have beautiful cosmos. So this is the only thing that I've purchased related to my gardening activities this time around, and I have made no yarny purchases, which is quite amazing. So that is it for this episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you are wanting to show what you've been working on with our community, feel free to check out the Ravelry community group. It is Yellow Farmhouse Makes, the same name as this channel. That would be a great place for you to post your works in progress, your finished objects, and maybe start, forming some friendships online and having some knitting chatter. That would be really great. And you can also tag me on Instagram if you're making anything so that I can see what you're doing. I would like this to be more of a two-way street rather than me just showing you what I'm up to. It would be nice to see what you're making too. So if you haven't already subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button and consider hitting the like button too. That would be wonderful. And until next time, I will see you at the end of June. Happy crafting, happy gardening if you're a gardener, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.